There are leaves around, and I know just the tune to accompany them, if you wish to hear it.
Ok, bueno, el día de hoy vamos a aprovechar para hacer la misión de Kazuha, ya que pues hace poco sacamos la C1, con la que nos gastamos más de la mitad de los deseos ahorrados hasta el momento free to play, pero yo creo que es momento de que empecemos a hacer la de Kazuha. A ver, vamos a empezar. Como les dije, yo ya había estado por donde empezaba la misión, pero nunca la había hecho porque justamente estaba esperando a ver el momento justo para poder empezarla. Y probablemente vayan a ver muchos cortes o mucha velocidad aumentada, porque la verdad es que sé que estas misiones suelen ser muy pesadas, o sea, muy largas, pero intentaré hacerlo lo más rápido posible de cualquier forma y pues también espero tomar las mejores decisiones. Ok, empezamos. Ay, la verdad es que me gusta mucho la voz de él, tanto en japonés como en inglés. Otro dato, no tengo el juego en inglés, en japonés, lo tengo en inglés. Tengo que mejorar eso, yo lo sé. Pero es que en mi teléfono, por ejemplo, porque yo empecé jugando Genshin en mi teléfono. En mi teléfono, obviamente no tenía el espacio para poder descargar los audios japoneses, entonces me quedé con los audios de inglés porque tampoco lo quería en español, obviamente. Que según yo no hay en español. Sí, no sé. Hay en chino, japonés, inglés, pero según yo creo que no está en español, creo que solo es en inglés. Bueno, el caso es que pues obviamente los otros no los descargué porque ya no tenía espacio, pero aquí en mi computadora sí tengo espacio, solo que pues ya se me quedó la costumbre de escucharlos en inglés, entonces tampoco se me olvida que tengo que pasarlos a japonés.
Oh? It's you.
Greetings. We were just discussing the repealing of the Vision Hunt decree. Since you're here, you're very welcome to listen in on the conversation. We invited Mr. Kaedehara here to extend a gesture of goodwill on behalf of the shogunate. Your hard work has secured for us the agreeable state of affairs that we now enjoy. Also, I've been granted the chance to correct my clan's past mistakes, and for that, the Almighty Shogun has issued a large array of directives aimed at resolving, or at least easing, the tensions that have built up over the years. The Tri-Commission has made the recommendation to use this opportunity to restore the honor of the Kaedehara name. Regarding the history of the Kaedehara clan, I trust that you're already somewhat... In short, there was once a group of select bladesmiths who served the Shogun directly, responsible for upholding and further developing the traditional blade forging arts of the Almighty Shogun. The Kaedehara clan belonged to this class. But there came a time when some of these bladesmiths revolted and fled to Snezhnaya. Both the Kaedehara and Kamisato clans were held accountable for lax oversight and entered a period of great turmoil. We later learned that the whole misadventure had been secretly orchestrated by the Fatui. Attributing all of the blame to the Kamisato and Kaedehara clans was neither proper nor just. Considering Mr. Kaedehara has once more made an outstanding contribution to Inazuma, the Almighty Shogun believes he should not only be rewarded for his achievements, but also receive recompense for the excessive punishment borne by his clan in the past. In the interest of preventing further harassment of the Bladesmith clans by the Fatui, we chose not to publicly release the findings of our investigations into these matters. We trust you can understand why this was...
This is a true honor. I am delighted to be in a position to receive the goodwill of the almighty Shogun, and the Shogunate at large. However, would I be correct to assume that this magnanimous gesture does not come without some strings attached?
I can assure you that nothing could be further from the truth. We seek only to correct a past injustice. With the Kaedehara clan's reputation and occupation restored, the Kaedeharas will be bladesmiths once more, and your wanderings will finally come to an end. You will be able to lead a safe and prosperous life in Inazuma City, with the almighty Shogun's blessing and full support of the Shogunate.
I have grown accustomed to life among the elements. I fear I would no longer feel at home behind the tall walls of a stately abode. Yet my ancestors did indeed take great pride in the name of Kaedehara, and the art of blade making for which it stood.
I sense some hesitation in your words. Should you accept this offer, I imagine many of the malicious rumors currently circulating through the populace will disappear.
Malicious rumors? All we heard on the way here was so much praise that we almost wondered whether there was another Kaedehara Kazuha in town.
Well, to some, the Muso no Hitotachi is something that can never be defeated. They cannot accept the idea that Mr. Kaedehara really parried the Shogun's strike. Also, eyewitnesses saw him using the power of Electro in addition to that of Animo. As a result, the falsehood that Kaedehara Kazuha...
What? But that doesn't make sense. Using a delusion turns you old and frail, and Kazuha still looks fine.
That is correct. However, to some people, the idea of a single person wielding two elements at once is a more inconceivable notion still.
This is just one of many similar rumors. I am very uncomfortable with being the subject of public discussion, no matter whether it brings suspicion or stardom my way. But perhaps if the Shogunate is willing to publicly support me, this situation will blow over more quickly.
This is precisely why I encourage you to give our offer some serious thought. It stands to benefit all of us.
Please allow me some time to consider. In fact, let us put this discussion on hold for the moment. Well then, what brings the two of you here?
Yikes! We nearly forgot about the most important thing!
Why would such a dangerous individual be looking for me? No, this puzzles me as much as it does you. My fighting forms were taught to me by my family, based on techniques originally developed for blade testing. We undergo rigorous training to standardize every motion the blade is put through, so that each can be fairly assessed for quality. Over time, these techniques came to form something of a Kaedehara sword art, focused on blade testing, but with a full repertoire of combat forms. Those forms are quite different from the more practical ones typically used by samurai in battle. So it's hard to imagine that the similarity you speak of was coincidence alone.
All the more reason to watch your back! This guy was a serious nutcase.
Indeed. He sounds highly aggressive. Anyone he targets is at risk of serious injury, or worse.
In that case, I will send some men out immediately to search for him.
Thank you. I must say I am now very curious about this matter, and I will also need some time to consider your offer. I will first join the Traveler in investigating the one who attacked her, then give you a conclusive answer upon my return.
Very well. Please stay safe.
Come on. Let's go and track down your aggressor. Yes, the Kaedehara and Amenoma clans were both members of the Raiden Gokaden. Historically, there have always been deep links between the two clans. After I returned to Inazuma, I visited Mr. Amenoma to pay my respects. Let me quickly explain. The Raiden Gokaden was the collective term for the 5 most acclaimed bladesmithing arts in Inazuma. The techniques of blade making were personally bequeathed to the Raiden Gokaden by the almighty Shogun, and over time, further honed and enhanced by the most talented craftsmen. Unfortunately, a series of events led to the gradual decline of many clans in the bladesmithing trade. Today, only the Amenoma clan has kept its art alive.
So sad.
It is a great pity indeed. In the old days, we each had our specialties. And just as iron sharpens iron, as an example, the Amenoma art strives to emulate the abiding patience and determination of water. There is nothing mystical to our work. There is only practice, day in and day out. As for the art of the Kaedehara clan, I believe it's called the Ishin art.
That's right. Ishin art strives for complete harmony between blade and mind from the moment that forging begins. For only a blade thus forged can capture and convey its maker's thoughts and feelings, and eventually become an extension of its wielder's will.
Indeed. Most samurai choose their blades, but an Ishin blade chooses its owner. You are, without a doubt, the most worthy wielder of an Ishin blade. It gladdens my heart to see that although the Kaedehara clan has...
You overestimate me. My actions are guided by my own personal sentiments, not by any noble aspirations on behalf of my clan. But let's get back on topic. The purpose of our visit today is to gather some information on your missing nephew. We hope to assist. Wait. I hear something ominous in the wind.
Oh! This must be another one of those sounds that only you can hear. As sketchy as that whole thing seems, you did put it to good use when we were chasing down...
Now I'm picking up a strong scent in addition to the sound.
But there's nothing here.
It's gone now. but I can still sense the direction it left in. It felt very much like that ancient presence in Inazuma. The remnants of the Tatari. Indeed. But this unexpected spring of inauspicious energy may prove to be of benefit to our investigation. We should remain vigilant and approach slowly.
So it's an underground...
The force is definitely coming from... The source of the Tatarigami energy has long since left this place. But the residue it left behind still hasn't dissipated completely. Judging from the concentration, I would have to conclude that the Tatarigami source resided here for a very long time.
Mrs. Nagato said her husband used to hang around the warehouse by himself a lot.
It could well be that he was already under the influence of Tatarigami energy at that. From what I've been told, Tatarigami does not turn all upon whom it preys into violent monsters, but most will develop a stubborn streak upon being exposed to the Tatarigami's unfulfilled will. Mr. Nagato had an interest in collecting to begin with. The influence of Tatarigami could explain why he became an obsessive hoarder, amassing more and more possessions, even as he put himself in grave debt.
So what should we do now? Go down and take a look?
Step back. I'll open the door and take a look inside. If we don't open this door, we can move no closer to the truth. You needn't worry. Both of us have faced far greater dangers than this. Relatively speaking, the risk here is trivial.
What's down there?
Everything's buried in debris. I can't see anything. It looks like the fire caused a cave-in, reducing the entire warehouse to rubble.
That was too scary! Paimon was so sure...
All we can do now is keep searching in the direction that the Tatarigami energy's source left this place. 2 ordinary humans, entangled with the Tatarigami. Yes, let's go. If nothing else, it's vital that we find out where this Tatarigami energy is coming from. Quiet your mind and focus on what you sense around you. Perhaps you too will perceive its ominous presence in the wind.
Special?
I'm not sure, but on closer examination, I sense that the aura may have lingered here at several different points in Show yourself! It's no use hiding anymore.
Kaedehara Kazuha. It's you, at last.
Aha! So it is... What's your problem, huh? What could you possibly have against...
Indeed, there should be no enmity between us. If it is Ameno Meyuya that stands before us. But what if instead of facing Ameno Meyuya, we are in fact facing the blade in his hand.
Now that you mention it, it is giving off a strange light. Whoa, whoa! Surely you don't mean... Are you serious?
Tatarigami energy often lodges itself within physical objects, then works to subtly affect any living organisms in its vicinity. The blade has resided in Mr. Nagato's warehouse for many years, affecting his state of mind, and more recently using the sale as a means to affect, or rather as a means to occupy, Ame Yuya's body.
You're sharper than I thought. You've already... Many years ago, I was forged by a famed bladesmith of the Ishin tradition. I was his pride and joy. In me, he placed all his hope. As a descendant of the Kaedehara clan, you should be able to guess our greatest regret.
I presume it has something to do with the Raiden Gokaden.
Indeed. At that point in time, he failed to live up to the Raiden Shogun's expectations. In the end, he was a bladesmith of great renown, a master of his craft. There was nothing that he could not accomplish. All he needed was more time and a little faith. And sure enough, in the end, he achieved what he had set out to do. All of his life's work, he not only bestowed upon me the greatest of strength, but also endowed me with a consciousness of my own. In her conceit, the Raiden Shogun lost not only the single most perfect blade in the entire world.
So... swords can become conscious and control...
The people of the time in which I was born never believed I had that kind of power. They saw me as a mere blade. After the death of my creator, I decided to leave Snezhnaya and began my long quest to return to... I seek but one thing. To face the full force of the Raiden Shogun's blade and prove my power.
So Ame Yuya was not your first victim. Tell me, what happens to those you've possessed when you've finished using them?
My hosts? Who cares what happens to them? They are but tools that serve my mission. When they got tired, or injured, or unusable, I hopped to the next one in line. All I needed...
You're awful!
After I returned to Inazuma, I decided to bide my time in Nagato's warehouse, until at long last, I'm approaching my journey's destination. By Ame Yuya's body, I have found you. Kaedehara Kazuha, you stood against the Raiden Shogun's Muso no Hitotachi. Now, give your... my way, or I will strike you down too!
Your bluff's fooling no one! You've lost!
Lost? I can never lose. It is this body that has reached its limit. Even if you defeat me here, the one who falls will not be me. He is but a puppet that can be replaced. I can take... The end result is the same! I will end this wretch's... And even if I were to lose my physical form, by any means necessary, and any medium available...
Your fighting style. It is indeed the forms of Ishin art, but from your movements, I sense only hatred and arrogance, as well as a thinly veiled
Really? You can tell...
As I've mentioned before, the forms of Ishin art convey the user. Since the blade is currently possessing Ame Yuya's body, its movements express the innermost thoughts of the blade. If you ask me, the mania is probably due to your desperate, single-minded ambition. You believe I am your only hope.
Are you trying to claim that I am helpless without you? On his deathbed, he passed to me all of Ishin Art's secrets. The little that you know in that regard, why would I ever need your help?
Because all of that is in the past. I've been wondering why you've not caused more trouble in all the years that you've been in Inazuma. If you are indeed a cursed blade that can possess its owner. Now that I've seen inside your mind, everything finally makes sense. You weren't biding your time. You were trapped. After all the time that's passed, you have grown weak. To the point that you are now unable to acquire a new host without making physical contact.
Oh, that's right. Paimon remembers now. Mr. Nagato had a habit of never touching his collectibles.
Only when Mr. Nagato witnessed his wife's distress and decided to sell his collectibles did you finally have an opportunity to reach out to Amenome Yuya and make your escape.
And what of it?
Well, that brings me to my second point. There's a despair in you that is so strong it threatens to overwhelm you. You were determined to fulfill your maker's ambition, whatever the cost. But this ambition is too grand and too heavy for you to bear. Each step you have taken has come at a great cost. I think you realized your limitations long ago. The more you clenched your teeth and pressed forward, the greater your fear of losing everything you had achieved grew, and the more you wished to run from the truth. But the way I see it, what began as an ambition has long since become a delusional fantasy.
What would you know about any of this? I'm just one step away from achieving my goal!
You returned to Inazuma to prove the unparalleled brilliance of Ishin art. But to make this arduous journey, you committed countless atrocities and showed a blatant disregard for human life. Even if you were to sever that divine light, is this truly the outcome that your maker would have desired?
You...
Sure, you inherited the secrets of Ishin art. But even as you made your journey to honor this legacy, you treated the ones who wielded you as mere tools to do your bidding. How could you possibly unleash the full potential of Ishin art when you act in perfect discordance with the principle of harmony between a blade and its bearer?
Silence, you blabbering fool! I must achieve my goal. This was his life's dream. I will concede that you are most perceptive. You see my predicament clearly.
And you should face reality.
Easy for you to say. Facing reality offers me nothing. I have no need of anything that would stand in my way. Not hesitation, not self-reflection. It is pointless to argue further, descendant of the Kaedehara clan. If you wish to save this man, then offer me your body in exchange.
How stubbornly you stick to your wayward path. I do not believe for a second that you can challenge the almighty Shogun in your current state. So let us make a bet, and I will put your...
What? Surely you're not planning to agree to it.
Very well. Then find yourself some enemies with whom you wish to cross blades. Once we have dealt with them...
And as for your end of the bargain, if you lose, you must release a...
I accept.
Don't do this, Kazuha!
This is the only way to save Amenome Yuya. The cursed blade's strength is currently very weak, and I sense he's hesitating. This suggests his heart is... The power of the Tatarigami lies in intensifying existing obsessions. This is the reason Mr. Nagato and Amenome Yuya fell prey to it. Since I don't have any similar kinds of obsessions, I should be able to put up some resistance for a while.
But even so...
Even if things take a turn for the worse, I still have you both here with me. We have a chance here to save an innocent victim. I am willing to accept the risks entailed.
Your disdain for me betrays your woeful ignorance. I agreed to this bet now.
Kazuha?
I'm okay. I felt a little dizzy at first, but only for a moment. It's all right. So far, this was as I expected. I will. Thank you.
What should we do next? Have you got a plan, Kazuha?
We find some enemies. Although this blade has endured much turmoil, it probably hasn't experienced many real fights. If a blade built for Ishin art cannot enter a state of harmony between blade and bearer, it cannot unleash its true power. If he wants to avoid reality, then we need to fight until he has no choice but to face it. He shouldn't last long in an intense combat situation.
Wait a minute! Paimon remembers hearing about something from the Adventurers Guild. Since the Takasukasa clan abandoned that secret base, it's been held by...
Ah, all right. Please lead the way.
What? How are you feeling? You okay?
I'm all right. The blade is performing largely as I expected. Having gone so long without proper use and maintenance, it's become very difficult to use. Though he's making every effort to persevere, I do not think he can last much longer.
Something else on your mind?
How strange. Rather than trying to control me, he is instead trying to match my fighting rhythm. Let's keep going.
Are you okay? It looked like you were really struggling the entire fight.
Yes. And it looks like he's reached his limit.
The sheen's grown a bit dimmer again. It doesn't look anywhere near as impressive as it did at the start.
Perhaps this time we'll finally have a chance to see his true form.
True form? What are you talking about? Huh? What the? Is this the same blade as before? It looks like a piece of junk.
If you choose to continue in the state you're in, you wouldn't even be able to beat Samurai and Kairagi, much less the almighty Shogun. Maybe you did truly wield power to rival the Shogun's light when first forged. But the long journey from Snezhnaya back to Inazuma has left you battered and broke. It barely needs stating anymore. Your ambition is a flight of fancy. I've finally figured out why it was that you agreed to my bet. You wanted to reach a state of harmony with me. For perhaps then you would still be able to wield commendable power. But regrettably, we are nothing alike. I will never understand your obstinacy and cruelty, nor can I empathize with the one who made you. The only one who truly understood you had already passed away by the time you were born.
Huh? What's that supposed to mean?
There they are! Take them down!
Where do they keep coming from? Yup, we can help this time.
Don't worry, I'll use my own blade. It's just more of the same. When I touched the hilt for the first time, It's as if I was a bladesmith lay quietly on the bed, his frail face barely visible under the moonlight. His breaths were weak, and a newly forged blade lay by his side, listening attentively to his final words.
Wow. That was the blade?
Indeed. While in exile in Snezhnaya, the bladesmith eventually learned the truth behind everything that had happened. The Ishin art had been dealt a devastating blow by the desertion of its best smiths. He spent the rest of his life in the forge, not to vent his frustration and hatred, but to atone for his actions. He felt intense regret at being tricked by the Fatui, but he could never again return to his homeland. His sole wish was to one day return his single, proudest creation back to the land of his birth. So he instructed this sentient blade to find a way back to Inazuma, no matter how long or how hard the journey. But he never wished to rival the gods. All he wanted to show was that they once shone brilliantly as blade and smith, that they were still worthy of being trusted.
So that's the truce. But after that, the blacksmith's intentions were warped by the Tatarigami, slowly turning his proud creation into the...
Right. I believe the bladesmith might never have known that the power he worked with was that of the Tatarigami. This blade has committed unforgivable atrocities, but only because it lost its original master.
Shame it's too late.
Yes, it is too late. Time would not wait or stop because of his determination. While the world moved on, his ambition remained stubbornly stuck at that fleeting... He seems to have calmed down, though. Let's go and check in.
When I look back at the past, I can remember the day of I once told him that I would pay any price to fulfill his wishes. Such was the debt I owed. But darkness and slaughter numbed the mind. Over time, not only did I fail to fulfill his ambition.
You are finally seeing reality clearly.
Since we agreed to the terms of the bet, but I still cannot bring myself to forsake his ambition. So, may I ask you to help me fulfill...
Hey! Now you're adding yours into the mix.
It has to be done in this order. At least hear what I have to say. And if you don't agree, my physical form, as well as the knowledge I possess, should still be of some...
His attitude has... What do you think, Kazuha?
Let's hear it.
Thank you all. When I was first forged, my maker was already terminally ill. Alas, after that, he never... Nor have I ever had the chance to prove my fights were devoid of any noble meaning. They were merely the next step in my never-ending journey. You are a fine warrior. I would like...
Oh? And who would...
I will release Ame no Mayuya and restore his consciousness. You must have plenty of reasons to both hate me...
Understood. Then let's start by...
I see. He used my... I utterly despise him and his actions. But since he stayed true to your agreement by... If a duel can help to set this state of affairs in order, I do not wish to be a mere victim.
There's no need to worry. We'll vouch for your...
Thanks for your help. Who knows how this would have ended without...
All right, then let's move on. More Ronin could appear at any moment. We can't stay here. In any case, for a final duel, I...
It seemed
I think I know what you want to do.
What's wrong, Kazuha? Is the blade whispering in your ear?
Yes. He said he wants to take control of me for a brief moment.
What? No way! Hasn't it learned it?
He tells me that he's thought of another way to fulfill his maker's wish. And I have decided to let him do it. Thank you. I will explain my reasons later. Okay. I am ready. Let us begin. Please, stay true to your promise.
My power is almost spent. Without him, my eventual demise is inevitable. But if I abandon the future to give everything I have in this moment, my physical form can be forged anew.
Everything? You mean...
Yes. The cost is my entire consciousness. You were right. There's nothing that I can accomplish now. But there's still a chance for Ishin art. Once remade, I will be a valuable resource for your studies. Ishin lives on, and its finest hour is yet to come. Even if I am not the one to prove its might to the Shogun, as long as it is an Ishin blade, crafted by Kaedehara hands, it will still fulfill his final wish. Thank you, son of the Kaedehara clan. Over the years, my real name has been forgotten by all. I'm ashamed to utter it, yet it remains strong in my mind. Kagotsurube Ishin. This name is now yours to keep.
Rest in peace.
So, that's why he said it had to be done in that order. His consciousness will disappear forever after...
Kagotsurube Ishin. It was the first time I ever heard his name. It seems like deep down he disapproved of his own actions, and thus chose to bury this name deep only in the final moments before his consciousness faded was
Seems like he really wants...
the same fervent ambition that gave him the motivation to keep going forward. Also fueled, speaking for myself, I'd rather see him recognize and atone for his mistakes than see him... I understand. Perhaps this is a flaw in my personality. I've always been captivated by grand aspirations. Hearing his wish to rival the divine light touched something inside of me. Just your quest to face the gods and trace your sibling inspires me in the same way. After everything I've seen, perhaps these pursuits fascinate me a little.
Oh, Kazuha...
I will continue to support you from this point on. Know that you will have my assistance whenever you need it.
Wait! Shouldn't we also go update Kujo Kamaji?
Oh, you're right. We need to tell him about the findings of our investigation, and it's also time to give him a response to the offer he made me. Time to go.
You've returned. I hear that the issue has been resolved. The Tenryou Commission has already attended to the danger at the warehouse. The investigation into Amanoma Yuya...
Wow, you sure...
Then we needn't recount all the details again. Now, as to your earlier offer, I wish to give you my answer.
What's this?
Kagotsurube Ishin. A weapon crafted using a long-lost blade forging art of the Kaedehara clan. By means of a series of fortuitous events, I was able to recover and restore him. I also promised him that I will continue to study, and so it looks like I will likely continue with my journey across the nations, learning more about this blade as I go.
I see.
The Kaedehara clan has always been a family of bladesmiths, so it is only proper for me to continue on this path. Were I to accept your goodwill, I may find myself embroiled in conflicts between the shogunate and Sangonomiya. That would not suit me.
You misunderstand. That was most certainly not our intent.
I am aware, but I still desire to continue walking my own path.
Very well, I can understand. Then let's pretend this offer was never raised. However, if you should ever change your mind or find yourself in need of the...
Great. Thank you for your generosity.
Where will you travel to next, Kazuha?
I'll probably take to the seas with Captain Beto again for now. As for my next destination, let's see where the wind takes me.
Listo. Terminamos. Gracias por ver. Y pues les espero en el próximo video a ver qué más hacemos. Adiós.